This is my cultural museum tour. I have chosen to select the Holocaust Museum of the United States, and that will be my first tour for you. You can find the United States Holocaust Museum at 100 Raoul Wallenberg, P1 Southwest Washington, D.C. And the hours of operation are between 10 a.m. and 5:20, and it's open every day except for Christmas and Yom Kippur. If you can't make the trip, they have really cool online exhibits. I've chosen to feature 2 of them. They have lots available on that website that's featured here. They have the State of Deception, which is the power of Nazi propaganda, talking about how propaganda caused all of these people to begin to follow Hitler through his regime. Then there is the Deadly Medicine, Creating the Master Race, and it features basically every bit of the genetic code that they were looking for in properly suited people, if you will, that would fit their Nazi agenda. I've chosen to select the main permanent exhibit of the Holocaust because it does take about 1 to 3 hours to explore in its entirety. It does span 3 floors in the museum. The allowed ages are 11 and up due to the nature of the exhibit, and they have many photographs, information, videos that show the real life experiences of people. And I've been to the Flint version of this, and it is literally something that will take you back to that place and show you just how gruesome this really was, and it can be easily downplayed, but this exhibit, I'm sure, does an even better job. On the first floor, we have the Nazi assault. It's the opening floor, and it shows the rise of the Nazi Party in Germany between 1933 to the outbreak of the World War II in September of 1939. This portion of the exhibition shows turning points in the Holocaust, such as the Nuremberg race laws, Kristallnacht, and the voyage of the St. Louis and the invasion of Poland. The permanent exhibition opens with the concentration camps images that were taken by U.S. Army soldiers in 1945. These scenes shocked even battle-hardened troops and informed the world of the horrors of Nazism and the enormity of the Holocaust. The initial floor of the exhibition shows how systematic mass murder could have happened. It chronicles events in Germany from the rise of the power of the Nazi Party in 1933 to the outbreak of the World War II. It shows the powerful tools of totalitarian state, propaganda, terror, violence, and state-sponsored racism, and how it was allowed to escalate. In the police state created following Adolf Hitler's appointment as Chancellor of Germany, Nazi policies transformed the country's Jews from citizens to outcasts and mobilized the entire nation against groups deemed to be enemies of the state. It resulted in a refugee crisis that left hundreds of thousands of Jews and others without safe haven. On the second floor, we have the final solution. And this is the middle floor of the permanent exhibition that shows the wartime evolution of Nazi policy towards the Jews from persecution to mass murder. As Germany expanded its territory across Europe, Nazi officials segregated Europe's Jews from the rest of the population through laws, special markings, and relocation to ghettos. In 1941, with the invasion of the Soviet Union, Germany embarked on the path of genocide, the physical annihilation of an entire people, which the Nazis euphemistically have termed the final solution of the Jewish question. When World War II ended in 1945, the Nazis and their collaborators had killed more than 6 million Jews in Europe, representing 2/3 of the Jewish population in pre-war Europe. An audio theater in this floor represents the testimony of Holocaust survivors in The Voices of Auschwitz. A major focus of this floor is the world of concentration camp, which rapidly expanded in the 1940s. Jewish experience in the ghettos and camps, as well as in hiding, is covered in this floor of the exhibition. Highlights include efforts to preserve the evidence of Jewish life under Nazi rule, armed resistance of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, and the legacy of Anne Frank. On the third floor, it's known as the last chapter. It's a closer look at the liberation of the Nazi camps and the Allied victory over Nazi Germany in 1945. Rescue and resistance efforts in the aftermath of the Holocaust. It covers the post-war quest to render justice to those who have carried out the murder of millions of innocent civilians and the efforts of Holocaust survivors to build new lives in Europe, Israel, and the United States. The exhibition includes with the second series of films on American responses to the Holocaust during the war years, and the film Testimony, which survivors and rescuers share their experiences. The issue of individual responsibility towards fellow human beings in danger is a recurring theme of this floor. Highlights of this floor include the activities of the French villagers the surrounding region to hide Jews, the Danish rescue of some 7,000 Jews, and the actions of the American War Refugee Board and Raoul Wallenberg to save Jews from occupied Europe. And I featured a quote from Anne Frank that reads, "Think of all the beauty still left around you and be happy." The next museum I've chosen to cover is the Ellis Island National Museum of Immigration. To get there, you have to go to what they call the Statue of Liberty National Monument, New York City, New York. The first part of the museum is the ground floor, and it actually was a logistical disaster back then with the baggage room where new immigrants would check their bags as they began their journey into America. That was usually overcrowded, and their bags would generally get lost, misplaced, ransacked through, etc. You will find the introductory exhibits about immigration into the United States, the signage to guide through the visit. The first floor also houses the Peopling of America galleries, audio tour pickup and drop off, a bookstore, a gift shop, Ellis Island Cafe, Theater 1, access to the Wall of Honor outside, the American Family Immigration History Center, and the information desk. The second floor is the registry room. This is where immigrants would go to get inspected and registered by immigration services. This also includes the hearing room, Through America's Gate, and the Peak of Immigration Years exhibits. The third floor is a dormitory room, and it shows a picture of what it actually looked like when people were dorming in there. This was the men's dorm, and it also features treasures from home exhibits and the Ellis Island Chronicles. One of the teddy bears that had been saved from that time period is also featured. The next museum I've chosen to select is the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. This one is actually in Detroit, which is where I'm from. It is located on 315 East Warren Avenue in Detroit, Michigan. The first exhibit that they have is called We Still Rise. There's a short video that I've featured here that you can check out that shows more about this exhibit. More than 20 galleries in a 22,000 square foot space that journeys all over the globe over time, beginning in Africa and crossing over the Atlantic. It also features the Underground Railroad and people who braved severe consequences to save countless people. The next exhibit is a Say It Loud Art, History, and Rebellion exhibit that just opened this year. It's a two-part exhibit which features the 1960s rebellions, celebrates the 50th anniversary of the Detroit Rebellion, and gives comparisons to today's stands against racism. The next exhibit is called Bent But Unbroken. This is actually a focus on the women of African American history, and it also features some of them from today. It shows their resilient nature through art and images that are native to this culture. The next exhibit is called Inspiring Minds, African Americans in Science and Technology. Discover the D featured this exhibit on their TV show, and there's a short clip about that. This showcases the trailblazers of science and technology since the 17th century with an interactive exhibit that brings life to this colorful tapestry of historical discovery. The Ring of Genealogy features the prominent figures of African Americans in history, depicting the struggles that African Americans have had in the United States. From slavery to the present-day violence, this exhibit is regularly updated with new names that bring cultural impact. So they have a bunch of bronze statues, and there are nameplates with prominent figures, and those nameplates get regularly updated every single year. Other exhibits that didn't really have a lot of information about them, but they are permanent exhibits at this time. There is the Detroit Performs exhibit. It's a photo montage of those from Detroit who have gained national and international success in the performing arts, from music to dance. Stories in Stained Glass is stained glass pieces featuring musicians, dancers, and advocates of freedom. And A is for Africa is 26 interactive stations that feature a three-dimensional dictionary of sorts that's designed for preschool to fourth graders, which introduces the history and impact of African American culture. Thank you.